It was a pretty great weekend it takes. Let's see if we can do it once again. Of course, with Monday Night Football on tap today. It's a showdown video coming up here between the Bucs and the Chiefs. We're going to do what we always do. We look at the projections and the ownership, of course, via our friends at Stochastic. We're also going to look at some of the sim data out there, the optimizer as well, the solver. We're going to hand build the lineup as well, try to figure out if we get some plus EV with a hand build. And of course, by the end of this video, I'll give you 3 takeaways to build unique lineups on the slate based on everything we're seeing. So let's hop into it and have to get the shout out our pal Pete over at going live right now too. Don't go watch him. Stay with this video. Pete winning $20K, finishing second place in the Battle Royale with literally data that he gave in his video. So on his Friday video, rather, for talking about the Battle Royale stuff. So it's a high bar being set. I have not won that much money off of advice I've given on stream in a little bit. So it'd be nice to do that today. Why not, right? Let's talk about the projections, though. It's a matchup here, and I'll talk about the implied totals as well. 9.5 point spread favoring the Chiefs at home today. So 27.5 implied points. Tampa Bay 18 implied points. What Tampa Bay put on tape last week was not enough to have the markets have faith in them heading into a game against Kansas City on the road. So looks like to this one, people are going to assume Tampa Bay doesn't put up a lot of points, and that's a reasonable assumption to have. Shout out to chat as well. We got Justin here. We got Green Checkmark, who's I guess his brand is. You've never done this before, Green Checkmark, at least that I've noticed, but sure. I've got a guy, Charles, here. Appreciate you all being here on this fine Monday and hope the weekend was good to you guys as well. Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, your top 2 projected players on this slate, though. Mahomes by a pretty good margin, number 1. Been a thing I've talked about a few times on stream, certainly a high total here. But Patrick Mahomes does not crest past 20 fantasy points that often. I think, in fact, it's been like less than 5 times over the last 2 seasons, or this season plus last. For Mahomes, this price tag certainly relatively cheap here. The slate overall, the price tags are all pretty reasonable. But I do think Mahomes, to me, with that projection, he's going to be in every lineup. And then getting away from that, the projection would be reasonable, especially if we're going to play some Bucs stuff, play this game being more competitive on their side. Mahomes, to me, going to come up in every lineup. The fact that he's about 3 points and change higher, the next highest projected player. Kelce, 16.95 projection for him, so he's number 2 overall. Kareem Hunt, one of the best workloads in football. If you pay membership fees here on the Splashway channel, that makes it sound like it's a country club here, and this is, I think, probably the farthest thing from a country club. Country club would be this YouTube channel. But if you pay, of course, get my matchup sheet that I put out every week. You can see my Spags score, which is basically a combination of efficiency stats, volume stats, how many red zone touches guys are getting for receivers, how many deep targets are getting, stuff like that. Kareem Hunt's one of the top players in my Spag score on the year. 32.9 is the number for him, which means absolutely nothing. You just know it's one of the higher numbers in the league, basically because he's getting 5.3 red zone intended touches a game, 3 inside the 10-yard line per game, overall 23 intended touches per game. There's a match against a Bucs team that doesn't defend anything well. 0.05 EPA per rush allowed, not a good mark. 0.1 EPA per dropback allowed, not a good mark. 0.13 EPA per pass allowed, not a good mark. They also allow teams to avoid tackles against them 19% of the time. It's a Kareem Hunt spot to me. So Kareem Hunt, the fact he's the lowest projected or 3rd lowest projected player of these guys, we'll see what the ownership is, but he is, to me, captain play material. He is, I think he should be in every lineup. His workload's too good right now, and people have caught up to it. But Kareem Hunt, I'll highlight him right now at number 3. I think he's the most important player in the slate right now. That's why he's the thumbnail. Baker Mayfield, 16.2 fantasy points for him as the projection. Certainly a player that has the ball in his hands a lot. If he's going to play into this game, if the Bucs are going to play into this game at all, probably comes in the hand of Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield also been throwing a really good catchable ball rate, 71% on the year. So it's not like he's been making mistakes that could lead to, a greater increase in errors. Even under pressure, he's been pretty good, negative 0.5 EPA, average, skewing a little bit more towards the good side of things. Just doesn't make colossal mistakes either. So Baker certainly can go against him. He runs enough too. I wouldn't mind just taking Baker over Mahomes in some lineups and making that a thing to try to get unique. But Baker at number 4 overall projected looks pretty good. K-Dot and the workload's been pretty strong for him. Was looking up some of the first read stats before the show via fantasy points data. If you want to get fantasy points data as well, basically similar stuff to what I look at, but a few different points like the first read targets are really helpful on fantasy points. So use promo code SPAGS25 if you want on fantasy points to get yourself 25% off. I don't have a sticker for it, unfortunately. So K-Dot in last week, 30% first read target rate. Jalen McMillan was number 2 with a 21% first read target rate. K-Dot had 10, McMillan had 7. Rashad White had 4. Then Rakim Jarrett came in. It's Rakim, right? I think it's not Rakim, because I want to say Rakim, like the rapper. I'm pretty sure it's Rakim, who also might be pronounced like the rapper. Anyway, he's under 10%. Ryan Miller under 10%. Trey Palmer was a really low 6%. Sterling Shepard was 6%. K-Dot, my point is really that K-Dot got targeted like a top receiver. So I think he's in play. He and Kelce, I think the exact same price tag. No. little bit different here, but close enough. 8,800 for Kelsey, 8,400 for Otten. These guys are both should be very involved. Both should be key plays. And again, these top 5, they all look really good. They all look reasonably priced for this slate. Top values right now, according to Stochastic, you got Peyton Hendershot with a 3.2x value, a $200 salary. I could theoretically catch a touchdown for KC. I don't know why you really want to play him, but he might be a player to make work, especially with the salaries being tied up top. If Hendershot were to score a touchdown, Ryan Miller, who I did feel like got targeted a good amount when he was on the field, kind of bafflingly, to be honest, last week. If these guys make a lineup work where you're cramming in the stars, they could be the thing that gets you low owned. And I think for that case, these low owned plays are really the cheap plays, high value plays, a little more in play than they normally be, where they tend to be kind of trappy because the prices are so flat and all those guys to me look like really solid up top. I think you could get to Hendershot and Miller types a little bit more than you would normally. Noah Gray, a 6.2 projection for him, 2.2x value at a $2,800 salary. And Mahomes like a top value, number 4 overall. Kelsey also a top value at number 5. So again, you're seeing some of the top projected players come up as top values as well. So these guys are going to be in pretty much every line, to be my guess. Showdown ownership right now, according to Stochastic. Let me refresh it because it should know that I'm logged in now. All right. Thanks again. Hey, appreciate it, Eric. Appreciate Jerry. Appreciate all you guys being here. Of course, if you're watching this one, go against a lot of competition on Mondays. Please hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell, hit the like button as well. It does go a long way for me. It's a sole proprietor here showing my gambling and hopefully giving you guys some takeaways to just at least thought starters and nothing else to build unique lineups. A lot of good feedback from you guys too. Nobody crushing, unfortunately, on the level of our pal Pete. But I have seen a lot of you guys having little successes relative to what you're playing, and that's sort of what my goal is for every video for you guys. Mahomes, 81% ownership going his way, 24% at captain, so he is going to be going everywhere. I am one thing I am not great at, I'll admit, is that I do carry my priors with me more. They do sort of inform things. I'm always kind of waiting for the shoe to drop, or for things like Washington. Like I just keep playing too many Commanders every week in DFS. I realized this week because of the fact like I want to be there when it hits big. I want to get it in the best ball side of things and the DFS side. Opposite side of that would be for Patrick Mahomes, where coming into the year, I was loaning him, getting pointed out the fact he didn't even break 20 fantasy points that often. When you see this much ownership going his way, I really do just want to be like, just don't fucking play the guy. And obviously it's Patrick Mahomes. It's a high total game. I get all that. This is still a team that does, run their expectation, run above expectation, rather pass under expectation in the red zone. They've got a negative 6.3% red zone pass rate over expectation. Everywhere else, they're at a 0.9% pass rate over expectation, but that's not as high as it was last year, and it's been trending down. So, I just don't think that they beat this team by slinging it around. I think they'll sling it a little bit. I think there's going to be production for Kelsey. I think even DeAndre Hopkins, some of the routes he ran last week, weirdly, he got targeted in the first half, and then nothing in the second half. But his routes were, pretty juicy routes. Worthy got a ton of first-read targets last week. These guys, I think, can all hit, but I don't know that it means Mahomes hits relative to, him being chalk of chalk. So I think it's possible he could generate enough production for multiple receivers, and then Baker outscores him at QB too. So I think there are ways to not play Mahomes tonight. I see as much ownership. I don't want to do it, but you have to give you guys sort of the caveat that I am low on Mahomes. I just don't think he is the player everybody has in their head. He doesn't play the same way as he did a couple years ago. People carry that forever. In reality, last year, he was like a game managing QB until he got to the playoffs and he had to sling it more. It's been the same thing this year. So, I don't want to go into 80% Mahomes, 25% at chalk. I think that's a thing to really want to lean on personally. Broke a 21 DK points one time in his last 22 games. The offense meets his production now. Same thing I've said for about a year now. But there you go. That's the actual numbers from Andy. Do you think White continues to get a bunch of receiving work? So he wasn't getting first read targets. He'll be in there for pass protection more. I don't know. He got 4 first read targets for comparison's sake. Bucky Irving got 1. Sean Tucker got 1. So we're talking about 4x the sort of design receiver workload for White. I think he gets it. I do think, though, the play to go to, and this sucks because he really killed me last week. I think the play to go to is Jalen McMillan. McMillan left basically 2 touchdown worthy plays on the field last week, one of which was Mayfield's fault. Actually, I think they were both technically Baker's fault. McMillan, though, should have had a bigger game than he had. So to me, if he has the bigger game, I think you get less Rashad White. That said, the game script here, I do think Kansas City scores points early. That's, maybe the most likely expectation by everybody as well. If they score points early, you're probably going to be able to see, White be out there a good amount. And then, a game script where they're playing from behind, have to have been for pass protection a little bit more. So I think he does keep the role and he's decently owned enough, but that's basically it. Play Noah Grace is Antoine coming over from the Stochastic channels. I know him from for years now. Yeah, look, decent projection, decent value. I don't know if he's like a lock for anything, and I'd certainly rather play other guys, but he's in play as much as anybody is. Baker, 56% ownership going his way, 11% at captain. So he'll be decently owned. Obviously, you want to have multiple pass catchers with him. I would think for him to be able to hit enough to make it a captain, he could run a little bit more. Honestly, I probably wouldn't go to Tucker in many builds. Tucker is the one that has the hardest time getting going. Of course, it's a showdown. Anything can hit. That's really the main thing. It's not about playing the best plays always. It's about playing the most unique construction of lineup together that has a realistic shot, moving up to first place. So you can do that together. I don't think it's a good one. And obviously, if Bucky were out with the toe injury that apparently is just going to play through all year, that would sweeten things a little bit more. But like the hard part for Tucker is that he gets the third look at everything. So he has to basically see Rashad White fail, Bucky Irving fail, then Tucker himself comes in and plays well. And you're not necessarily expecting that because like if Bucky's failing, I think it's probably not a great environment overall. If Tucker's coming in and he just does fantastically, maybe the other guys are still doing okay would be my thought. But I personally would not want to play Tucker, but he'll be low owned. Kelsey, 55% ownership for him, or 56 for rounding up correctly. 14% of captains. He'll be pretty well owned. Kareem Hunt, 53% overall, 12% in captain. A little bit more than I'd want to see, but I think he is a strong captain play today. Again, that workload for him, the red zone work in particular, with this kind of game script potentially. Kareem Hunt could have 2 touchdowns today, I think, easily. It's hard for me to imagine him not getting one. Like, I really do believe pretty strongly he makes the flex overall. When my Kelsey captain was so high, he got so much work last week. And basically the workload for him has really gotten better since Rashee Rice went out. So I think that's the main thing. The box score being there, I think it's all going to really lead to people playing him and get him out. And I presume this should be a game too. Taylor Swift in attendance on national TV. So casual slate, people will play him a little bit more anyway. But having the big box score game last week, I think will certainly drive it up more. He had a touchdown last week too, right? Did he have 2? Had at least 1, I'm pretty sure. Kareem Hunt, again, favorite play for me on the slate. Rashad White, game script, as we just talked about, looks pretty good. 6% ownership overall. One thing with Rashad White, too, is even in games that are blowouts, you still see Rashad White out there. This Bucs team, doesn't throw in the towel. They just kind of keep pressing, doing a little bit more. So Rashad White getting some garbage time bullshit that carries him through, I think would not be the craziest thing in the world. K. Dotton, 35% ownership, 6% of captain. He's a solid play as well. Certainly one that if we talk about a Bucs script that should be playing from behind throughout, On's been targeted, relied on a lot. So him at 6% ownership, I think is pretty appealing. DeAndre Hopkins, just really confused by the workload. They were deliberately giving him good targets in the first half, and then to give him none in the second half doesn't make sense. But he's an interesting captain play because you're getting pretty direct leverage on Travis Kelce, but I'm not sure that I'm sold enough to play him in captain as much as I am play him in the flex and hope that works out. And Worthy again was an interesting play last week because of the fact that his first read share, according to fantasy points, went up quite a bit. Worthy had a 33% first read target share compared to 48% for Travis Kelce. So Kelce dominated the first read share. That usually tends to mean this is the guy who, the quarterback is relying on the most, who expects to have the most targets. But the fact that Worthy was number 2, I think he would be a pivot here where if you play him in captain, play Kelce at the flex, play Mahomes at the flex if you need to, play Hunt in the flex, maybe Worthy as the outlier day, and all the other guys just have decent enough days. Kelce left for 2 days to go be with T-Swizzle, not focus on the game. I mean, he has been focused on the game the entire offseason, so nothing new there. And shout out Spurious News. Spurious News, welcome to the family. Thank you for finally putting your money where your mouth is and joining the channel, and I appreciate you for it. I don't want to do the bit too much. I actually had a weird thing this weekend real fast. We'll keep going through the data, and I'll look at the low one, guys. So Luka got his first DNA test. I've been loath to do one because I think it's weird to give your DNA out and do all that. And so basically learned this weekend, Luka's apparently 15% Southern Chinese, which could be it could be a bunch of different spots in that area. That means that I'm likely 35% Southern Chinese, and I had no idea. My dad is adopted, so that's a big thing. So I learned, number 1, I just got better at math, I think. So that's the first part of it. But number 2, weird week for me to be doing the Italian voice because now I've learned that I might be the same amount Asian as I am Italian. So it really fucks with me here. But 2 noodle dominant areas. So team noodle. Under 10%. I mean, it's a weird thing to share, but I don't know where the fuck else I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to tweet it out. I don't. So that's where we are in life. Your lower owned players on the slate according to stochastic ownership. Got 11% Bucs D. Ryan Miller, 7%. Samaje Perine, 6%. Rakim Jarrett, or Rakim, depending what you want to call him, 5%. Mecole Hardman, not getting pass game work, does get the occasional rush with some upside, 5%. Sean Tucker, 4%. Carson Steele, 3%. Keith under 1. Peyton Durham under 1. Montreal Washington under 1. Hendershot under 1. Hendershot's the only one with a real projection related to value. If you're going to talk yourself to a Tucker script, he won't be played, but I think I worry about chasing that one a little bit here. But there you go. Those are your low-owned guys. I could see it. Well, we thought I might be part Filipino, but it being so Southern Chinese dominant was just a bit of a curveball I wasn't expecting. But hey, mysteries you learn when you're when you don't really want to. But now I have to do a DNA test to find out I'm 100% that bitch, but also to find out how much Asian I am, because it doesn't actually relate one-to-one with kids either. Let's go to this tab, though. It's in the solver. Again, this guy's going to do some quality math coming up here. Now I can make that joke. I've unlocked a whole series of comedy I've not had access to previously. Amy Wong now. Amy Wong? Who's the tiger lady one? Amy, is it Amy? I think Ali Wong. That's it. Amy Wong's a character from Futurama. Just funniest comedian in the world. I think we can all agree now. Let's go to Showdown. Please don't mock my culture, Kyle. We're learning. We're learning new ways to be annoying to people. Is the goal. I was so fucking. I was just razzing Alex all day yesterday because she like made one joke that was like a little to the bone. I'm like, I don't think you make that joke. White fucking imperialist. We're doing that. Jeremy Lin jokes. I have a poster of him on my wall now. I pray to him. I light candles in front of Jeremy Lin. All right, we got your top 5 lineups. The goal again, looking up the lineups here on the solver. Let me pull up their ad as well. Solver, great product. Check it out. Like the description if you want to check it out. Basically, it's an optimizer. So an optimizer will tell you just based off the projections people land the most. When you identify then what players get forced into lineups even more, you can then tell more so, even in addition to ownership, just how much people get forced to these players without even realizing it, because that's just what projections are. So your top projected lineup, if you're to play a cash game as of 11:17 a.m. on the East Coast, should be this one. Patrick Mahomes, Kareem Hunt, Baker Mayfield, Travis Kelce, Trey Palmer, who, again, very unimpressive work based on the data last week. Still think he has talent, but I don't think this team is as into him as they are some other guys there. And Noah Gray. So for Antoine Murphy there, Noah Gray comes into the cash game lineup right now. Overall, across all top 25, again, just pure projection here, no boosts or anything on it. Mahomes is in 100% of lineups, so right away, if you were to fade one player on the slate, it should be Patrick Mahomes, because that basically will cut you away from a large portion of the field that gets put there naturally. Again, as Eddie pointed out, as I've said a few times, as I've said endlessly over the last year, Patrick Mahomes doesn't cross that 20-point threshold that often, and that could be enough to make it in the flex, but he's going to be so owned at cap, and he comes in 96% of the time as captain, and he's optimal. So at the very least, I would say, honestly, I would just say don't play Mahomes at captain, because like you're still getting, even in just these projection plays with no boosts, you're still getting double stacks of Mahomes. That's logical. You're still getting here, technically a triple stack with Hunt, though he's not going to gain a lot of value from receptions from Mahomes. You're getting Kelce, Hopkins, and Butker with Trey Palmer as the bring back. If nothing else, if you do play Mahomes, I would really avoid Trey Palmer as a bring back, because that seems like that's coming up in a lot of the highest projected lineups. But you're getting Mahomes just with natural stacks everywhere. So I don't think the way to win the slate is going to be playing Mahomes stacked up at captain. Maybe playing one of his pass catchers gets you less owned, but it's like, even if you like Mahomes, the DFS of it should make you kind of not want to play Mahomes at captain today. Stack-wise, you're getting 4-2 Chiefs 48% of the time, these 25 highest projected lineups. You're getting 5-1 Chiefs onslaughts 36% of the time. You're getting 3-3 16%. So balanced builds, Bucs dominant builds are going to be one way to get unique on the slate. And I feel pretty comfortable with that. Honestly, with what we talked about with Rashad White, with my belief on Jalen McMillan, with Cade Otton being viable, Baker Mayfield sort of has to create value. Multiples of those guys get there. To me, there's a lot of ways to get away from the Chiefs on this slate. And I think people are going to be playing more like Chiefs DST, Butker, Mahomes stack with it. I don't think it's a guarantee the Chiefs put an ass whooping like that down. I think they move the ball easily, but I don't think it's a guarantee they like put a beat down like it does seem like these numbers would give you. Let's see if the sims are up for these. No sims up yet for ETR, so we'll just do stochastic sims coming up here. But check out ETR. Of course, on ETR, you optimize your lineups, then sim them out. And what they do, it's different from stochastic, is they do build out a pool that gives you basically a bunch of lineups that are hand-built. So that's how that goes. All right, let's go over to stochastic next. We're going to build 10,000 lineups on here and have them compete 10,000 times. We'll see what we get out of it. White pig dog. Yeah, you look, these white imperialists, one of the things we've never enjoyed on Splash Play, but now more than ever. Now more than ever. I did not eat Chinese food yesterday, though, for the record. It felt like that would be too on the nose. Felt like, and also, it's not true to my culture. So that's that. Let's simulate these lineups, guys, before I get myself. I guess I can't get canceled now. Crushing. unleashed a whole new series of things. Speaking of a whole new series of things here on Splash Play, coming up at 4 p.m. today, guys, Splash Play NBA back again. Had a killer first week there where basically every player I put in the thumbnail last week ended up exceeding. And I do put players in the thumbnail that I think are the most important DFS player in the slate based on my data. So that's coming up at 4 p.m. today as well. Of course, with our partners at Unabated. So lots of good stuff coming up here. Check out Unabated if you want. $30 off. Link in the description today for Unabated. A great tool, of course, that I use for NBA, but does work well for NFL as well, especially early in the week, I would say. Their market prop tools going to do a lot good for you at Unabated. And, of course, Stochastic, 15% off. As I mentioned on stream, again, I'm just sharing with you guys because it's important as I'm trying to build up these things into being my full-time work. Last week, the most affiliate fees you ever got from Stochastic. Or last month, rather. So let's keep it rolling, please, because I'm seeing a pathway to not being in abject poverty trying to do content. Now they're not funding a startup. So please support the show, like, subscribe, click all the affiliate links if you can. K. Dotton, your top ROI captain right now, or top ROI captain in this lineup. K. Dotton, Baker Mayfield, Bucs D, Harrison Butker, Kareem Hunt, Travis Kelce getting a 3-3 here, just like we talked about. Your number 2 ROI lineup already has some dupes on it, so I would watch out for a lot more dupes on this one. Mahomes, K. Dotton, Chiefs D, Kareem Hunt, Noah Gray, Travis Kelce. So K. Dotton in a 5-1 onslaught favoring KC. Number 3 ROI lineup right now, according to Stochastic, is Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, K. Dotton, Kareem Hunt, Noah Gray, Trey Palmer. Number 4 is at Kareem Hunt, Baker Mayfield, Bucs D, K. Dotton, Travis Kelce, and Trey Palmer. And number 5, Kareem Hunt, Bucky Irving, Chiefs D, Noah Gray, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. So what are the unifying themes here? The top 5 lineups, at least. You're getting Kelce in 4 out of 5. You're getting Mahomes captain still in 2 of them. You are getting my preferred captain, Kareem Hunt, in 2 of them. They are pushing you towards onslaughts a little bit more. But then besides it, you're either getting onslaughts or balanced builds. So you're not really getting 4-2 Chiefs. Feels like 4-2 Chiefs is kind of going to be a measure that pops up in a lot of lines, to be my guess. But let's favor the top 150, look at the overall trends amongst all of them. And of course, we can look at some unique captains and all that too in a moment here. See McMillan, Hammy Flair this week was so terrible. Yeah, I mean, look, I think he's supposed to be active, so that's all I would care about, really, but certainly could be bad. And as Tyler points out, we're seeing late week injuries. Look, I would still, if these guys are active, I wouldn't try to worry about it. I know it's hard not to do that, given the fact we've seen in-game injuries really crush slates lately. But I would say, like, with that, the ownership comes down a little bit. So if these guys are active, I would still play him pretty much. But McMillan especially, like, I really do think McMillan has a real opportunity here in this kind of game, especially. His usage was good. His first read target share was good. He's not like K. Dotton level in terms of that usage, but I do think the downfield targets, he can get there in one play and do that. Do my projections factor Taylor Swift? I do not make projections for NFL. I did a couple years ago just to kind of know how it is. For NBA, it's like it's too easy not to do it, and having unique data in NBA is so important. For NFL, I'd rather rely on the sources and kind of just look at other numbers that I think are important for that. Seem to dislike Kelce captain. Let's figure that out now. All right, so we got Bucs D right now in the flex as your top ROI option right now, 6.9% ROI at a $3,600 salary. Bucs captain also has a 6.1% D, a 6.1% ROI rather for Bucs D. So hard for me to see that hitting, I guess, especially at captain. The Chiefs are going to score points. The Bucs D is not good. So I think you could certainly play that as an outcome. People won't be playing games where like the Bucs win 30-10. So if like you could do that, but I do think on this slate, one of my lessons learned is like you can play the most contrarian builds for showdowns. And if you're a 150 max where you should, like you look at guys like Ricky D, who I think has some of the best, at least historically, some of the best showdown like exposure distributions. And he'll play a lot of like, oh, this team's favored. I'll play the underdog 5-1 no matter what. If you have 150 and you're trying to win enough money to pay for your DFS lifestyle, whatever, for an entire year, like, yeah, then you play like this really, low, inverse outcome. But for this one, like Bucs winning at captain, like how does that happen? They're not good. Mahomes can fuck up enough, but I don't think he can he's going to fuck up so bad that they could put up 20 points. So I just don't see that one, even though it does come up sim ROI wise. It's probably good value for the flex, I would say. Travis Kelce, 5%, Butker, 2%. So these are all your positive ROI players right now. Nobody else fits the criteria. Though K. Dotton not too far off at negative 0.4%. And in captain, your highest ROIs, Bucs D again, Travis Kelce, K. Dotton, negative 0.4%. And the flex, it's the same thing, just different way of showing it. Exposures, let's look at that. Olave injury was so tilting. I didn't play a lot of Olave yesterday just because the McLaurin stuff pushed me away from it a little bit. Yeah, I would say for Olave, there was reason to not like him, and most of it was that the Saints last week basically fed him the ball in the second half when they were trailing. So that was kind of my concern point, was like, I didn't know if they were going to be trailing enough in this game for him to get the workload. But obviously the concussion, like he got concussed in such a way where that hit, like he was out like a light, and was out in a way where it was like like a UFC knockout, like an old school Mike Tyson knockout. So Olave, second concussion of the year too. And with the way the Saints are going, I don't know. I would guess we see Olave again, but I don't know if you do. Your top exposed players in the 150 set we just built here. Patrick Mahomes coming in 60% of lineups in the flex, a little bit more than the 56% the pool has. So not a big stand, basically with the field. Baker, 52% in the flex, coming up compared to 44. Kelsey, 51% in the flex compared to 41. Kareem Hunt, 51% in the flex compared to 40. So a little bit more of a stand on Kelsey and Hunt, which I do support. Butker, I do think the Chiefs are going to be in range a lot. They could certainly score touchdowns, but if they don't, Butker cleans up pretty well. So 43% compared to 24. I think that works for Butker. K. Dotton, 40% in the flex compared to 28. And Bucsy, they want you to get 35% of the time compared to 10. So look, Bucs can get a turnover. Bucs get a special teams thing, and that would be their only touchdown in the game. There's also, I guess, a faint possibility that the Bucs only, like every Bucs player scores less than the Bucs defense if they do get that, return touchdown, maybe a sack or two. God forbid they get a turnover or something. It could be more of a reflection on the fact that the Bucs projections were so bad, because basically every player projected for under 10 besides Rachaad White, who's at 11, K. Dotton at 12.6, and then Baker at 16 and change. So you only have 3 Bucs really who are over 10. So I think that could be why you're getting Bucs D. You're getting Bucs D maybe in some 5-1 bills would be my guess. Where they're like the one bring back is the only play that like can score points from the Bucs. Kelsey, you're getting 27% of the time in the captain. So getting about 2x D Fields expected captain ownership for him. Kareem Hunt, you're getting 20% compared to 12. So almost 2x for him as well, captain. And you're getting less Mahomes captain, 17% compared to 25%. So nothing that interesting there. Don't trust the Saints ever? Well, hey, they did one good thing. They fired Dennis Allen. So said it in the Squirt Squad VIP Discord. Of course, see what you get by joining down below. A special VIP channel that I pop in. And of course, all of our guys there. Great community we're building there, which I appreciate you guys being a part of. Basically, though, put it in there that my thought was for the Saints with Dennis Allen is that, hey, number one, we cashed our Salah Dennis Allen parlay of those guys being fired. So, hey, kudos to that if we'd actually bet it. But number two would be for Dennis Allen, they're going to replace him with somebody who's really not anybody good. And if you have Olave out, they now have no receivers left. I guess I didn't say all this in the Discord. I just think they should be tanking at this point. The weird thing was that Michael Thomas put out that tweet thread yesterday saying that Derek Carr is getting coaches fired and stuff. The next day we see the coach getting fired after Derek Carr kind of costs them the game and maybe costs them Olave for the rest of the year. So weird things in New Orleans, they should tank at this point, but with their cap hell stuff, I don't know if it actually benefits them to do it. So just a weird team overall, and I would watch for weird things of them moving forward. But Michael Thomas fucking buried Carr, something fierce. Some unique captains to look at here. We look at Kareem Hunt a little bit already, but Kareem Hunt top lineups. You saw these top 2. Here's another one with Hunt, Mayfield, Bucs D, K. Dotton, McLaughlin, Kelsey. Don't mind that. Kareem Hunt, Mayfield, K. Dotton, Butker, White, Trey Palmer. So some more Kareem Hunt lineups. Kelsey lineups. Kelsey, Bucs D, Chiefs D, so both defenses making it in. And in fact, as I mentioned, Bucs D, the only Tampa Bay player featured here. So that is an assumption that nobody scores points from the Bucs. I really do think if you play an assumption that just 2 Bucs make a lineup, 3 Bucs make a lineup, that's enough to get unique on the slate, which is not normally the case. But Bucs and Chiefs, Butker, Kareem Hunt, Mahomes. So this one, despite being 46-8, I feel like this would get duped more. You're getting all the best Chiefs in, basically. Kelsey, Bucs D, Bucky Irving, Butker, Kareem Hunt, Mahomes. Kelsey, Bucs D, Bucky Irving, Chiefs, Kareem Hunt, Mahomes. Honestly, even if you love the Chiefs, I think just trying to play worthy at captain or worthy in the flex will at least get you off the beaten path a little bit. Hopkins, I think same thing as well. Let's look at a Hopkins captain. Go back to the McCole Hardman. Well, I wouldn't, but you could. He can score a touchdown. Wouldn't be a priority play for me. His snap count last week for Hardman, I think we did this recently. Hardman got 21 snaps last week. For comparison's sake, Hopkins in his debut got 23 snaps. Worthy got a ton, though, I believe. Worthy got 38. And Kelsey got 57. All right, so Worthy didn't quite get to Kelsey levels, but he was on the field. He was getting targets. Anyway, Hopkins lineups. Hopkins, Bucs D, K. Dotton, Mahomes, Kelsey, Worthy, Hopkins, Baker Mayfield, Chiefs, Kareem Hunt, Mahomes, Palmer. Yeah, I was going to say one with Worthy without Kelsey would be interesting to try to fade his production than saying maybe there's less pass game production, but it goes to those guys more. Hopkins, Baker Mayfield, K. Dotton, Kareem Hunt, Nicole Hardman. There you go. There's a Hardman lineup. Patrick Mahomes. That one does fade Kelsey, which I think makes sense. If you're playing Hopkins at captain, assume target concentration gets there a little bit more for him. Who else? Worthy. Let me look at him. Worthy captain lineup's the lowest ROI, and not a single one in the top 150. So your Worthy captain ownership probably pretty low. Not a big Xavier Worthy guy, but he's getting enough work, and the Bucs are so soft, like you could beat him in a couple big plays. And again, that first read target for Worthy last week was pretty high, like 33% of the time he was out there, he's getting a first read target. So Worthy, Chiefs D, Butker, Mahomes, Rashad White, Kelsey. So again, you're kind of playing the bullshit here, the same bullshit, but a little bit different on it. Worthy, Rashad White is your one bring back, and makes sense as the one bring back if you are going to play a 5-1 onslaught build. Number 2 ROI lineup would be Worthy, Baker, Otten, Butker, Watson, Mahomes. Worthy, Baker, Chiefs D, Hunt, Noah Gray, Mahomes. It's 5-1 Chiefs everywhere. Captain McMillan. He's an MAC right now. Let me see. Jalen McMillan captains. Good ROIs on this one. Not a ton of them in the top 150, but enough to feel like it's not a bad play. Jalen McMillan, Baker Mayfield, Bucs D, K. Dotton, Mahomes, Kelsey. You're getting really all the star players in with McMillan there, but that could work. I don't know if I want Bucs D in this kind of lineup, though. Jalen McMillan, Baker Mayfield, K. Dotton, Harrison Butker, Kareem Hunt, Rashad White. I like that one more. You're playing more Bucs than not, which we saw does not come up very often. You're playing a 4-2 Bucs build here. You're still saying there's production for Butker. Kareem Hunt still makes it. Hard for me to not take Kelsey in, but I could live with it. McMillan, Baker, Carson Steele. That's a little thin. Kareem Hunt, Mahomes, Kelsey. This is like a build where the Chiefs are just dominating and the Bucs storm back, I guess. But I don't know that's like the right way I'd want to play that. Hopkins, Vegas prop solid. Where are they at in line-wise? I haven't looked in that. But honestly, like again, his targets in the beginning in that first half were like pretty good. Like he got good routes downfield. They seemingly used him like the way you want to see Hopkins used. So I was impressed by it. Nothing good with Tucker and flex. If Bucky sits, that seems plausible. I mean, yes, Tucker and flex, but that would change the entire slate. So I don't know that it helps you out a bunch, but we can look at it. Let me look at other captains first, and I'll look up your precious fucking Tucker at flex in a moment. Who else? Otten captain. Otten captain feels a little bit low owned given his target concentration in a game script that should benefit him. Otten, Baker Mayfield, Bucs D. I mean, I'm just not as into Bucs D as the Sims are, but keep in mind the Sims are very into Bucs D, it seems. Butker, Kareem Hunt, Travis Kelsey, K. Otten, Baker Mayfield, Chiefs D, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, Trey Palmer. K. Otten, Baker Mayfield, Hopkins, Mahomes, Rakim Jarrett, Travis Kelsey. I like Otten lineups more as a concept than I do these ones practically, but I think there are probably good Otten lineups out there. And Otten captain, I think, is an interesting one if you're not going to play a Chiefs player. Captain contains who else in the Chiefs? I mean, we saw Mahomes ones, but just in case, just for the sake of being completionist here. Mahomes, K. Otten, Chiefs D, Kareem Hunt, Noah Gray, Travis Kelsey. Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, K. Otten, Kareem Hunt, Noah Gray, Trey Palmer. Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, Butker, Kareem Hunt, Nicole Hardman, Travis Kelsey. I feel like for him to go off, like Kelsey would have to score. Let me just see real fast so I can kind of build this. We're going to hand build 1-2 in a moment. But I'm definitely not going to do it with Mahomes a captain. I would go Hopkins or Worthy. Let's do Worthy because Worthy had more snaps last week. And the lineup contains Kelsey. Because, like, if he's going to hit at captain, he has to, like, really hit. Now, the interesting thing is, like, so the top 150 ROI lineups, none of them include Mahomes captain with Kelsey and Worthy. So we're getting out of that group of lineups people just grab without even looking at much. So this one with Mahomes, Bucs D, again, not big on Bucs D. Justin Watson, Kareem Hunt, Kelsey, Worthy. Okay, the Watson part I don't love either. Mahomes, Kareem Hunt, Noah Gray, Kelsey, Trey Palmer, Xavier Worthy. So Trey Palmer is the one bring back in a 5-1. 3 dupes probably means like 20 dupes based on how stochastic stuff works. This one's got 5 dupes, so again, probably like 20. Mahomes, Chiefs D, Butker, Rashad White, Kelsey, Worthy. I do like that build. I like Rashad White as a bring back, but leaving only 4 to the table, you're probably not unique enough. Mahomes to the kicker making it. That's kind of fun. Kicker is the 1 in a 5-1. Mahomes, McLaughlin, Hunt, McCole Hardman, Kelsey, Worthy. Okay. I think if you can play Mahomes at captain, there are ways to do it uniquely, but I would really try to account for the fact that, like, for Mahomes to hit a captain, you need, like, guys to actually have big games underneath him, but it has to be a couple of them, and they have to not be so big that Mahomes then wouldn't get beat out himself. So I think that's, like, Worthy and Kelsey. That's Hopkins and Kelsey. That would be, I guess, like, if you want to play Noah Gray, like Noah Gray plus Hardman plus Kelsey or Hopkins or Worthy. That's the way that I think he hits at captain. So that's my thought. Well, let's look at the stupid Sean Tucker lineup just to try to be nice. Lineups with Sean Tucker, only 3 have a positive ROI out of all of them. You got Hopkins captain with Baker Mayfield, Kate Otten, Patrick Mahomes, Sean Tucker, Kelsey. So this one to me kind of seems like Chiefs beat down. Sean Tucker just gets there somehow in garbage time, maybe would be the story, I guess, for that. Kelsey captain, Baker Mayfield, McLaughlin, Hunt, Patrick Mahomes, Sean Tucker. Kelsey, Mayfield, Otten, Butker, Patrick Mahomes, Sean Tucker. I just personally, I don't think it's a Sean Tucker slate, but hey, I get it. He's low owned. If he does hit, he probably hits really big. Sure. Try it with Jarrett. All right. Raheem Jarrett or Rakim Jarrett, whatever his name is. And who is it? And Ryan Miller are 2 that I think the work they got late in the game last week was noteworthy because it was like a lot of targets. It felt like a lot of targets for Ryan Miller. Rakim Jarrett, though, I think had 3 first downs in that game. Actually have those numbers here from fantasy points. Rakim Jarrett, he had 3 first downs. So he had more first downs than Jalen McMillan did in that game. He had 3. Ryan Miller had 2. McMillan had 2. Kate Otten had 5. And Rashad White had 1 in the pass game. Bucky Irving also had 1. Sean Tucker also had 1. But anyway, Rakim Jarrett here with Kate Otten, Mayfield, Hopkins, Mahomes, Jarrett, Kelsey. Kelsey, Mayfield, Butker, Hunt, Mahomes, Jarrett. I don't know about him being your only receiver. I think for him to be in it, I think it's like the Bucs make a credible run late and he's getting some targets with it because I just don't think they come out and game plan for him. Like, he still didn't have a lot of first read targets. He was kind of like the everybody else is covered, let's go his way. Trying to look up his first read real fast. What the fuck is that? He only had a 9% first read target rate. So he wasn't like a guy that they were looking for. I think it was just more desperate times. So I kind of think Jarrett Miller to me, like more desperate times plays, unless you see Shepard out, unless you see somehow McMillan out. I guess that'd be that. Late again. Oh, hey, appreciate being here, Jason. Appreciate all you guys. Again, if you're watching live right after the fact, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Let's try to hand build one, though. Unless anybody has any other requests, just drop them in the chat, and I can take a look in a minute. I believe it's 35% to first tier. Let's do that. Screen a little bit bigger. Okay. What do we put in? I do like Hunt and captain the most. I guess the thing is, like, for Hunt, what is the game script for him to be captain? So for him, he's probably scoring touchdowns early. They're moving the ball downfield well enough. He just keeps punching it in. Bucs playing from behind. I think that's the way to do that. So I'm going to go Hunt captain. His ownership, he's not sneaking up on anybody. I do think in terms of just pure sneakiness of it, Worthy, sneakier if you're going to play the expected kind of Chiefs build. Worthy, sneakier. Hopkins, sneaky with a little more risk. But Hunt, Kelsey, and Mahomes, like, those are the most obvious plays. So we got to get unique if we're going to play Hunt and captain. I think right away, Baker to me drops back enough. I think he creates enough production here. He could have some colossal screw ups, but I still would rather play Baker than not. I think Kelsey makes it. I like Kelsey in this game overall. Usage room is really good. As long as the game is within range at all, Kelsey should get work. Big touchdown also going to be in his bag as well for today. Cade Otten, I do think it's enough targets still. Wouldn't be opposed to fading him, but he should just be getting work. He's really the number 1 target for this team right now, and I seeing that visually, the math backs it out. The fact he's only 35% owned, like, he is the most legit weapon they have and a team that's not really full of legit weapons. McMillan, I still do like 6,200. The price tag is a little bit tough, but I am going to go to McMillan here and leave me 2,300 left. We're going to play somebody dog shit. Rakim Jarrett getting first downs is kind of noteworthy. If you get first downs, you should see more opportunity just because of how the flow of that works. So Jarrett here, more salary than Ryan Miller. Maybe we get duped a little bit more. But I think in this kind of build, Jarrett, Miller, most appealing to me. Hendershot feels a little bit thin, but he could catch one touchdown. Hardman, not crazy either. My eye said Ryan Miller. I just felt like Ryan Miller really got like he was fucking eyeing him down in a way. So I'm going to try Ryan Miller here. It's the team I'm going to sim out right now. Kareem Hunt, Baker Mayfield, Travis Kelce, Cade Otton, Jalen McMillan, and Ryan Miller. So a 4-2 build here, fading Mahomes and trying to play more Bucs stuff because we expect the Bucs to be basically trailing this entire game. Let's see what we get on this one. I think with how the lineups look for the top sim ROI lineups, I don't think it's going to have a positive ROI, but I do like this build a good amount. Had Olave and A.J. Brown finish top 400 the milli. That's actually pretty tough, Cape. I know Cape Pizzo's been building some good lineups, so more power to him, but that is some run bad there, unfortunately. But I think a lot of people have lineups like that because the chalk was really good as long as you knew how to play the chalk correctly. But there were a couple big landmines at high ownership as well that definitely changed the slate, including Olave. Tillman ended up getting there too, which kind of bummed me out. Let's put in Ryan Miller instead. Let's see what that does. I think leaving a little more salary on the table might increase the ROI by a bit. And Miller and Jarrett don't have a projection that's that different. And again, Ryan Miller, like not an impressive player. I'm going to go through NFL Pro at some point this afternoon and watch these guys a little bit more because I do think I felt like Miller was getting targeted in a way where I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Whereas Jarrett got some good targets too, but I didn't feel like it was that great. Let's try Hardman too. So it seems like the sim so far does favor Jarrett over Ryan Miller in this particular lineup, at least. But overall for me, I just like playing more Bucs passing game. Maybe they don't score the points. They do have a low total, but like the game script to me and the total, like being a 9.5 point dog and also knowing that you're playing like Super Bowl champions on the road at KC, they have to come out aggressive, or they get boat raced. I think it'll probably be it. Yeah, that's what I said. They didn't get targeted until like they needed to really move the ball desperately. So it's kind of what we're trying to play the build of. That's what I was saying. Okay. All right. So it seems like out of this lineup here, the version with Jarrett would be the best one according to the sim. But to me, Hardman, Jarrett and Miller especially, they're just the exact same play. So let's see. 3 ways to get unique on this slate, guys, according to what we've seen so far throughout this video. Number one way to get unique would be not playing Patrick Mahomes. He comes up 100% of lineups naturally based off ETR's projection. So he's going to come up in a lot of lineups. We saw up top as well. He comes up a good amount of places. So he's going to play. It looks like he played a ton at captain. I'm not actually sure I'd buy the 25% ownership because captain ownership for QBs has been a little bit lower this year. But that said, he's still going to be the chalk. So I think trying to play around Mahomes instead of leaning into him, I think would be a better move. If you are going to play Mahomes, make sure to get unique because he seems like he's going to land in pretty much every lineup, over 80% projected ownership. Number two would be, I think playing more Bucs overall. All the default projection builds were pushing you towards even some 5-1 Chiefs dominant builds, onslaughts for the Chiefs. Whenever that is the case, you basically end up seeing the other team get underplayed. And granted, they are in a 9.5 point dog, and it is a tough match. The Chiefs defense is actually pretty good, but the Bucs are a team that have found ways to move the ball against a lot of teams. So I think Baker can get it done, even if he doesn't produce enough for himself to make a lineup. I think he can. I still think for Baker Mayfield, like he creates enough value for Naughton to get there, McMillan to get there. I've mentioned that workload enough times. That's it for me. This isn't a way to get unique, but I would say if Kareem Hunt at captain, to me, I think it's a strong play. I really find it hard to believe Hunt doesn't make a lineup, whether it be a captain or flex tonight. So that's just me. I really think it's the most important thing to slate for me. So for you guys, treat that info accordingly. Number 3 way to get unique, I think, would be to play some of those Bucs lower tier receivers that aren't Cade Otton, McMillan. Even he's projected for only 21% ownership. If you play Rakim Jarrett, again, a build where last week we did see him playing from behind and being out there playing from behind. It seemed like they trusted him more late. And also Ryan Miller, like they trusted those guys late more than they did Trey Palmer. So I think playing a build where the Bucs are just clawing back from behind opens up some guys who aren't good projection plays on their face. And that's Rakim Jarrett. That's Ryan Miller. And especially if you were to get, Shepard out, I guess, Shepard or somehow McMillan out, those guys would become much more important plays. So That's it for today, guys. If you appreciate content like this, number one, go check out my NBA video where I do a similar thing, of course, for the DFS slate and the prop markets. Splash Play NBA coming up at 4 p.m. So please check the link. I'll put it in the pinned comments one more time. It's in the chat right now. If not, just go to @SplashPlayNBA, youtube.com/@SplashPlayNBA. You'll get to the channel Mondays and Fridays at 4 p.m. do a DFS slate. I'll also be on the deeper dive with Josh Engelman on Stochastic's channel at 5 p.m. today. So tune into that one if you enjoy NBA content. Stochastic at 15% off all their data and tools. And again, support the show here. It does go a long ways. I'm trying to build up this little Splash Play community of ours. Solver, we use that on stream as well. Check the link in the description if you want to check that out. Underdog, $1,000 in bonus cash on there. And of course, hey, gamble responsibly, even though it's always money time. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod. And I'll see you guys on the NBA channel at 4 p.m. and on Stochastic at 5 p.m. So watch both of those. And if you don't, fuck you. Please come back for more. See you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. And hey, best ball video right now looking like going to be a little more positive this week. So fingers crossed. But good luck. See you guys soon. Bye-bye.